Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Eaton Lost Pubcast with a special guest. A special guest in the form of a small McGee. Or Chunks McGee. Or
you what? You fucking calling me small, mate?
One
you
of the
fucking
many
what, mate?
names that
You fucking what, mate? You fucking what, mate? You fucking what, mate? I'll have... Oh, well, maybe I won't have you. Oh, what's up, McGee?
She's too small and cuddly to be aggressive.
She is aggressive, ain't you, McGee? You are aggressive. It's true, isn't it?
She's just left, just like, yeah, whatever, mate.
She is aggressive. Like, you've seen her when the delivery men come here. She's fucking aggressive, bloke.
It's true. She's barked at me before, but she barks and then she looks at me and she's like, oh, it's only you, and then she leaves me alone. Which is,
she's got one of them, like...
because I'd fight her.
When I was a kid growing up, and we had Black Labrador, Penny would bark like this. Row! 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 Like, it was quite powerful. McGee's also like, what the fuck is going on? It's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright.
Yeah. Worried and she's like, oh, what's this with the dog
McGee,
doing?
McGee, though, goes... Arr, 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 like a fucking crazy day, McGee. Tell him, McGee. Tell him. Don't tell me. Tell them. Tell them.
What the hell? She just lets you do whatever you like to her.
Sky. His paw. Ah, nice. Good. Don't lick. His paw. Sky. Paw. What's up? Here's a paw. What's up? Oh, it gives you a love look. Oh. What's up, Chunk?
God's sake.
You a human, Chunk? Is that what you are?
No, absolutely not.
You're human. You're human, ain't you, Chunk? You act like a person.
I've seen her drinking out of a puddle. She's not a human.
What are you doing, McGee? It's like attaching my body. Look at this. Look. Look, if I stand up, can you see? It's like, look at it. It's like attached to me. Look.
Yeah. Bingo does that. If I pick her up, she wraps her back legs. But then she scrabbles when I try and put her down and stabs me repeatedly in the gut.
Oh. Bingo's got quite long nails, though, ain't she?
Yeah, they grow really quickly.
Come on, then, McGee. You get that. Oh. Go on, get off me. Piss off. Good girl.
Don't upset the beast. So this is the 13th episode of the Eaton Lost Podcast. What are we going to call this one? We didn't give the last one a name. The last one turned out to be the terrific 12th episode. Because it was the only thing I could think of. I was going to say tantalising, but we didn't tantalising.
We've used that, haven't we?
For the
what? I'm not really sure where to go with this. What about like I
mean the I've got nothing.
You can't say the.
No, like if it's the 13th, it needs to start with the, doesn't it? Well, TH. It needs to be something with TH because 13th. But I can't think of any word, like a descriptive word.
The Thermite-Infused 13th episode of the Unit Lost podcast.
Done, sorted.
It's so awesome. It's explosive.
Thermite-Infused. What the hell? That'll do. We'll take that.
You want to leave, McGee? You really want to leave, McGee? See, McGee never gets angry and never says anything, but it's just like, mate, you can't even see it. That's a doormat there, but there is a McGee,
With a McGee
there.
On top of
there
it.
is a McGee there, yeah. Give me a filthy look. And I'm like, McGee, now's your time to leave, because obviously you don't want to be here. Sky, do you want to go outside?
You're going to force her to stick around.
Wait.
She doesn't add that much to the conversation anyway, if I'm honest, but she's a bit quiet to be on a podcast.
I know, but I've got to, I had her locked out of here for hotfix, so I have to, say hello to her. She should just go and play outside, but...
Someone last week, I think it was on the Pubcast, because occasionally I show the desktop if we're looking at something from the channel. Asked why I was subscribed. Well, actually asked you why you were subscribed to Gordon Ramsay, except you don't record or produce these anymore. I do. So why was I subscribed to Gordon Ramsay?
Why are you subscribed to Gordon Ramsay?
Because he does recipes. So I subscribe to him so I can see what he does. They're like 2 minutes long, and it's like, this is how you make a dish. So.
You know what I made the other day? I went to Co-op, yeah, because Co-op's fucking awesome. Basically, if you're poor as shit and got no money, if you go to Co-op, it's like the ultimate gamble. You walk through the door, and it's like, what are they going to have on their super special offer section, yeah? Which is like the reduced section. So you've got to buy it and eat it today. But I don't care, because obviously that's an acceptable time frame to me. Also, I'm not of a mind of, oh god, the fucking, not the sell-by, well, yeah, the sell-by date is gone, but it's still within its best-of date by about 2 weeks. We've got to get rid of it. Yeah, I don't.
When people are like, I'm not buying that. It's past the sell-by date. Yeah, but that's not when you got to use it by, because otherwise everything you bought from the supermarket you'd have to use on the day you got it home, and that's not how it works. So what's the problem?
Anyway, they had 3 massive pork steaks, and I was like, and it was like proper good pork, proper good pork, mate. Like, had no bones in it, had like hardly any fat on it. It was like, oh, these are right prime steaks. They were £1.59 for 3 of them, and they were reduced from about £8.99. I was like, so I got them bitches, bro. Got home, right, and then I was like, what am I going to do with them? Because I just got a shitload of meat, but I need to do something with this. So I got some mixed herb, right? Because you get it from Morrison's. It's basically basil, oregano, and some other shit in there. It's basically all the best ones, but not. It's like 30p, and you get a shitload of it instead of buying all the individual ones.
It's because it's dried, isn't it? It's dry.
Yeah, it's dry, but it still gives it the flavour. So I'm cool with that. So I'm putting that, like, loads of it, like working it in like that, and then I got some sea salt. Oh yeah, get some sea salt in, work it in, and then I got some pepper. Yeah, grind it in, worked it in like that, and then I grilled it.
Grilling is actually quite healthy
on both sides. Yeah,
fairly healthy.
Takes a long time though. Like, you have to grill it on like a really shit heat. Took about 45 minutes, I reckon, under the grill, but it was on it wasn't like a super high heat, a low heat. When it came out, it was succulent. You could fucking tear it with your hands. It was fucking well nice. But like other times, you'll go to Co-op and then you'll see all they've got is a 9p gallon vat of couscous that is just terrible. And you're like, no, why haven't you got the super steaks?
We have the same adventure when we go to Tesco for like food shopping, and we'll go in and it's like, here's the reduced section. Is it going to be something quality, or is it going to be like 18 pre-packaged sandwiches that they haven't shifted?
Yeah,
and
sometimes it's and gone off.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like gash sandwiches. The other day we went in and we found a whole salmon, like a massive salmon, and it was next to the fish counter, and it was past the sell-by date by 2 days, but the use-by date is next week. We haven't done anything with it yet, but it doesn't have to be used till next week, and it was £6.
I'm a fan of just taking it as it is, slicing it.
It's massive.
Getting the old cream cheese on it. Fuck in hell. On a cracker. Fuck in hell.
What is this? He's gone cockney. I said to her.
Fucking hell.
The other thing as well was gammon. We got a joint of gammon. Cook it in the slow cooker in Coca-Cola. It sounds weird. It sounds like it'd be disgusting, but it's really nice. It's so good.
The Morrison's do crazy deals on gammon, like really massive bits of gammon. You can literally boil this shit. Like, you just get it in a pot and boil it, and then you've got like meat for the next 5 weeks.
That's what we do. We take it, put it in Coke, and then cook it, and then you can have it in sandwiches. You can do it hot with chips and eggs. Oh, God.
I can't buy them fucking packets of meat because they're so ridiculous. It's like £1. And you've only got like 3 or 4 slices. It's like, what? Yeah, then if you want some fancy Parma ham, it's like £3. But for like a £5, you can get a massive gammon. That gives you massive meat. It's like, what? Jesus Christ. Also, another confession, bloke. I went to McDonald's the other week.
Oh, what?
Right, I hadn't been for years.
Not.
No, I did. I hadn't been for years, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to McDonald's. And I went in, right? No, I didn't go in. I went through the drive-through section.
I like the way you've leaned in as though it's a secret. It's like...
It is. It's a secret.
I went to McDonald's.
Right, I don't know what the menus are or anything, and I'm getting all bewildered at the fucking, hello sir, what do you want? And I'm like, I said something retarded like, what specials have you got on? And they were just like, we've got the something barbecue fucking, and I'm thinking, what the fuck am I asking them? But I was just stalling them to look at the thing, and then I noticed the saver menu. Now, I remember when I was at college, they had this, and I believe everything was 99p.
Yeah, it was the 99p saver menu.
It's not anymore. It's not anymore. Everything's like £1.60, £1.70. I'm like, this is a joke. What's going on here? I think there was £1, just a normal burger. In fact, I remember hamburgers were 59p at one point. They were like dirt cheap. Anyway, I was like, can I have a...
They're probably still only worth that, in fairness.
Yeah, they're really small. So I'm like, I've been on quite a large bike ride, so this was my excuse to go there.
Yeah.
It was last week, this was, but whatever. I said, can I have see if I can remember. It was a sweet chili chicken mayo something, a double cheeseburger, a chicken and something thing, and then just a cheeseburger. So I had like 4 burgers, right? But they were really small. It wasn't like a big, they were just these really small burgers from the Saver thing. A large fries and an apple pie. And I'm like, what? I bought this. It was like £5 something. I was like, what the hell have I just bought here? I fucking ate all that shit though. And you know what? It didn't kill me, and I was quite surprised. I thought I was going to die. And it tasted actually kind of okay, but I could not eat that all the time. Like people who eat McDonald's all the time, like, I can't do it because it just makes me sick. Like it makes me feel I think it's sickish. But honestly, bro, but I could go like
stodgy food, ain't it?
Yeah, I could go the fucking Indian every night, bloke, or even the Chinese every night.
Yeah.
And I could survive off that. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The chippy though, like I can go the chippy, but I couldn't do it every night. It'd fuck me. It's too hardcore. The chippy is. Last time I went in the chippy.
When the stuff's in batter, that's when it's bad.
I go to the chippy and I'm walking past it to go to the co-op, and because I was going to get a drink, right? But as I'm walking past, some guy is like, "Yeah, can I have doner meat?" And the woman's like, "We ain't got much doner meat left." I'm like, "Shit, I wanted doner meat." For some reason, I wanted the filthy rancid doner meat. Walked in, the guy took all of the fucking doner meat. I was like, "No, please." What? So I said, "Have you got any chicken meat?" He said, "Yeah, we have." So I had chicken meat and chips in a tray. Stupidly, I said, "Can I have a large?" And it was like massive, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" Like I got it back home, put it on the plate, and it was like a mountain of food. I was like, how do people eat? But I ate it all, and then I felt like shit because I was like, "What have I just ate?" But you know, weirdly again, I wasn't bad the next day, so I don't know what's going on with me. I think I'm cured.
I think you've been randomly cured somehow, as if by magic. Last night we went out for my brother-in-law's birthday, and went to this pub. No, it's actually halfway between you and me, funnily enough. By the canal, by the garden centre.
Yes, I know. The So and So Arms, it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went past that on my bike. It's by the little art shop thing.
Yeah. It's quite nice in there. The food's quite good. But I went in, and like I think by this point it's established. I quite like my cider. I like a cider. Cider's nice.
You're a pisshead bloke.
I went in, and I was like, I sat down. We all sat there. Woman came over. "What can I get you to drink?" I was like, "What kind of cider have you got?" She's like, "We've got Bulmers, or we've got Strongbow." I was like, "Well, that's bullshit then." And I was like, "Oh, I suppose I'll have a Bulmers then, because there's nothing else." Later on, finished the first course. I was like, "I want another drink, but it's really busy. I'll just go up to the bar and I'll order one. I'll make it easy for them. I don't mind doing that." Get up. In the fridge, they had a proper cider that I've never tried before, sat there right next to the Bulmers. I was like,
"You what, mate? You having a fucking laugh?"
I drank that shit, and right next to it was a proper like Cornish cider, and I tried it. It was delicious, and I ended up having 3 more. But I was like, I would have had 4 of those, but no, I had to have Bulmers instead. Unacceptable. And also, I ordered my burger. It came with that barbecue sauce, even though it's on the menu. Barbecue sauce. I was not impressed by it. Not impressed. Although when I said it was missing barbecue sauce, they came back with a massive jug of it that was like this big. And I was like, okay. And then she disappeared, and she said, "The rest is on its way." And I was thinking, we've all got our courses. Like, what is the rest? Came out with a massive, and I mean massive, dish about that deep, just full of onion rings, like beer battered onion rings. And she just put it down next to me and said, "Because the barbecue sauce was missing, here's some free onion rings." Yes, best thing. I don't care if they don't charge. Like,
now onion rings fuck
me
over. Like, onion rings fuck me up. I think it's the batter. Or it might actually be the onion, but I eat a lot of onion anyway, and I don't seem too bad. But yeah, onion rings, I don't know what it is, but if I eat onion rings, then I just die the next day. Like them burgers, like, I don't know what it is.
It's the batter or something.
It could be the batter, because
it is like, in fairness, the batter is just like, it's like flour and a liquid. That's all it is most of the time.
It must be flour, which fucks me. You know what, actually, weirdly, let's talk about my filthy condition. BBC last night were reporting a new drug that they've got, which is this gel, which you ingest it and it coats the colon and fixes it, and it sticks to the colon and it stays in there to like heal it. It's apparently super effective. I was like, holy shit! So I need to get some of that.
That sounds awesome. What the hell?
Because like people who are really bad would have. I mean, I'd had these before, but I won't go into detail. But you basically get enemas that you have to do. Now you have to do them all the time, and they're very hit and miss. But this thing is like you just ingest it, and it's meant to be amazing. Beautiful. I can't wait for more advancements.
Has arrived.
Yeah, I fucking need it. Yes, so this is Pubcast, where we just talk about complete shit and also games that we've played. Now, I've played quite a few games this week, Mr. Kirioth. So I'm going to start. And if you've got any objections, you can die.
Bit harsh, but okay.
I played Everquest 2.
The VOD of which is on the channel, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched it yet,
although it's slightly annoying because I left it like in 1080p. Because I don't know what I was doing. I was probably recording. I don't know what I was doing, but OBS was left in 1080p. which it shouldn't be for streaming. It should be 720 because 1080p is too blocky because you can't have a high bit rate.
That's why Hotfix on Thursday was in 720, not 1080, because a couple of days before, I streamed Rocksmith, so I turned all the settings down to stream it so it's not blocky and horrible, and then I forgot to turn it back up, which is just one of those things.
Yeah. But oh wow, this was so this is the time-locked expansion server. This is the server which is supposedly back to the roots of EverQuest 2, back to when I played EverQuest 2, because I played it through the first 3 expansions and then left, and I think it's on like its 15th expansion or something now. Still like a good 2.5 year, maybe even approaching 3-year period. A very hardcore gaming for that game. But yeah, so it all started off pretty well. You started off on the Far Journey, which is the boat which takes you to the Isle of Refuge. Now, this was taken out of the game after a few months because people got really bored of it, because it makes you do very mundane tasks on the boat. You know, like when it's teaching you how to move your character. And I mean, even Warcraft doesn't do this, it doesn't tell you how to move around and click on stuff. It's like, it was really fucking mundane. But it was nice to see that it was in there, because when I made my character, I was on the Far Journey, so that's the whole reason for it, you know what I mean? Get the old nostalgia on the go. Lands on the island, and the Island of Refuge is not even a thing anymore in EverQuest. You apparently just have got your own little start areas now. But I wouldn't know, because like I said, I don't play the current iteration of it. So I was quite happy, because I could remember all of the little quests that I've done. And it's bringing back all these memories, and it's really good. And, you know, one of the best things that happened to me on the island is I met this guy, grouped with him, and we went and did the quest together. He was a guy, I don't know who he was, yet he would wait, bloke. Now, this is a phenomenon. You would not get this in World of Warcraft. I'm listening to all of the dialogue, because it's all fully voiced, you see. What would happen in WoW if you were to group with somebody? They'd just spam through it and run off, wouldn't they? They'd probably just leave the group. Imagine if you were in a dungeon and somebody stood there to talk to an NPC. They'd just leave the group. They ain't got time for it. But just seeing this guy stand there and wait for me, and then when I moved, he'd move, and then in turn I'd wait for him, was amazing. It took me back to like this glory golden year period when I played EverQuest 2, and it was totally like that, where the community is everything. That's what makes these games, and it was just fantastic. And I went through the whole start area with this guy, about 2.5 hours of play, me and this guy, giving each other loot. You know, we found bits of loot on the floor, because loot in EverQuest, you just loot it. You know, if you're in a group and you kill a monster, it does this nice thing. If it turns into a chest, it'll be a wooden chest or a metal chest. Or if a chest doesn't spawn, it'll just be like a bit of trash loot on its body. But if it's a wooden chest, it could be an item, like with some magical properties on it, so an item with stats on, like a green item from World of Warcraft. If it's a metal chest, then it's fabled and it's like super rare. Like, but I mean, they are like 1 in a billion. You know, like they're really, really rare that they drop in on the open world, like just from mobs. But wooden chests drop quite a lot. But when they drop, you can just loot it. Like, you could just double click it and take the loot then, because you're in the group and we've killed it. So, what do you think would go on?
It would just be like, it sounds like it's like a ninja looter's paradise, to be honest.
Yeah, but because it's EverQuest, people would loot it and then say, who wants this? Or I've got this, it's got wisdom on it, I don't need it, and give it to the... Because I was with an Inquisitor who's a form of offensive Templar healer, so it's like offensive cleric. And it's just like, that was awesome. And then after I finished that area, I went to Kenos, got to the dock. Now, when I played the game, there was a series of bells, you could ring a bell. There was 2 bells on the dock, and one of them would take you to all of the racial subsections of the city. So every race, so like halflings, they had I think it was called the Bubble Shire or something. It looked like the Shire from Lord of the Rings. It's actually really well made. That was really nice, graphically made place. Then you had like the Barbarian place, and then all of the other races, like the Gnomes, had their little place and whatever. That wasn't there. So I'm like lost instantly. I'm like, well, where the hell is this? Because they're supposed to be going back to the original EverQuest. What the fuck is going on? Like, they're back to the original EverQuest 2. But apparently they changed Kenos radically and didn't save it or something. Blah, blah, blah. So they couldn't change that back. And I noticed that Kenos did look different. Like, the architecture looked radically different in some places. And I'm like, this is not how I remember it. Because I literally remember how exactly it was when it launched. Because that's the only time I was there, you know? So I was a bit disappointed because I wanted to go around the racial areas. Okay, whatever. There should be another bell which lets you transport out of the city, but that wasn't there. It was replaced with this other bell, which is like a globe, and it looked modern. It didn't look like it belonged in EverQuest. It was like something you could see they'd made after the game had launched. Like, anyway, I clicked on this bell, and it took me to Antonica, which is the the big overland continent connected to Kinos, which is like the good city, and that's like it's like their Elwyn Forest kind of thing, but it's like about 10 times as big as Elwyn Forest because the zones were massive in EverQuest 2. And I started exploring around that, and I was just showing people on the stream because we had quite a lot of viewers at the time, people who I think were just interested in, how this game was, because most people have played EverQuest 2. They were blown away. Like the overall thing I was getting off the chat is they were blown away just how like fantastic that world is. It's very it's fantastical, and the fact that there's a lot of voice dialogue, and people, you can just run up to somebody and they go and kill 10 rats. They'd have a crazy story why 10 rats had to be killed, but it was like this insane story. They might have been like disowned by their family. They've ran away from Freeport. They need to get into Kinos. They're doing this, and it's like crazy, and it's like well over the top. Just great. Well, I went to a place called Stormhold anyway, which was one of the first dungeons in Antonica. So it's like a level 20 dungeon. I was like level 13 at the time, so I'd instantly die. If a monster hit me, I'd just die in there. But the way their dungeons are done they're open. They're not. It isn't like an instance. You don't go in and then it's like, oh, here's my group. We're in the dungeon. There's a warp to go through. It's like, no, you go through the door and you're in that zone. It is a zone. It is not a dungeon. But I tell you what, it is actually like a proper dungeon. Stormhold is like, there's loads of secret passages. There's loads of like crazy things. There's loads of crazy rooms. And what would happen is you get a group and you'd fight down to an area and you'd camp that room and like wait for the named mob to spawn and kill it. But there'd be other groups in the dungeon as well. And in the group chat, people would say things like, our group is leaving like so-and-so boss. And they'd go, okay. And then you cycle around and you change. Or if you were leaving the zone, you'd say, we're leaving. And other people who were like areas not near bosses, maybe they were just farming monsters or something, they then start to move down to replace you. And you just don't get that with any other MMO. And that was crazy. There was another zone called Runny Eye as well, which was, it's a slightly... No, is it Runny Eye? Split Paw or something like that. It's where the Knoll guys are. I think that's level 15, I think, in that zone, but that's not as memorable as Stormhold. Because, I mean, Stormhold had 2 different entrances as well, which you wouldn't know unless you'd explore, because you didn't really have a map. You had a map which showed you the zone, but it didn't show you where the entrances were. It does in the time-locked expansion, because they've just kept the modern map, which kind of is a bit shit, because you can see all, like, the secret entrances. Like, round the back for Stormhold, I keep wanting to call it Stormwind, but Stormhold round the back, there's the library entrance, which takes you into the library section instead of going through the main door. So that's faster to get to other areas in the dungeon. It's crazy. Then moving on, I went to Thundering Steps, and they've got the ruins of Varsoon, which I remember like crazy going in there. That's like, he's this guy who makes golems out of like clay, and they're like, and then he gets people and he murders them and he turns them into clay monsters and all this shit. That place was mental in there, totally ridiculous. I could just talk for it for about hours. I just could go on for hours and hours. I went to Fearot, went to Everfrost, went to fucking Zek, went to Enchanted Lands.
We've had the footage on the background while you've been talking, and I have to admit, I didn't catch the stream itself, but looking at this, it looks kind of familiar, but also completely different at the same time. Like having played, I mean, WoW is the only thing I could really compare it to, but it's like watching this footage back. It's like seeing something that I feel like I've played this even though I haven't, but it's kind of got it just seems to feel different. I think that's the only way to put it. And although we haven't got sound, well, the viewers or listeners didn't have sound. When you were talking to people at the start of the video where you're talking to trains and stuff, the fact that it's all voiced is like, that's kind of crazy to me. I can't think of another MMO that I have had any experience with, first or third hand, where it's like just everyone has been voiced.
Like one of the major differences, though, if you imagine World of Warcraft, you start a orc character. You're in the Valley of Trials or something.
Yeah.
You start the game and you get a little bit of a kind of a cutscene thing, just telling you about Orgrimmar, blah blah blah, and then you're in the world, and then you run up to the first guy, you click on him, and you'll go Loktar, oh god, or some sort of generic one-line thing, which most NPCs say, and it'll just be go and kill 5 boars. So you do it, and you come back, and it'll be Zog Zog or something, and then you go and do something else. In EverQuest, they're telling you stories about themselves straight away, and it's like, holy shit, what the hell is going on here? You feel straight away like you're part of that world. Like, it's like, wow, I'm in a different world here, and these people are telling me what's going on. It isn't just like, get on with it, here's all of the kind of major mechanics distilled down to just the mechanics, and you lose that kind of allure, or the allure of like the fantastical environment that you're actually in. Now, EverQuest 2 came out before World of Warcraft, but they were both in development at the same time. Although I doubt there was much crossover, because I don't think they would have been, really dealing with each other, you know what I mean? EverQuest 2 came out before, but only by a few months, and it was more advanced than World of Warcraft by quite a long way. Just in the way it was telling stories and stuff. Like, it was far and away much better than World of Warcraft in that respect. It had a better graphics engine, visually. The problem, well, I guess technically, the problem was, when I say it's better, it kind of really wasn't, because it was really unoptimized. It wasn't very good for systems of that time, systems of like 2004, late 2004, 2005. You couldn't really play the game on any kind of decent graphical setting, which obviously you can now because you just brute force it through. But it still has a horrendous memory leak, which it had then. So after you played the game for a few hours, you'd have to quit the game and then load it back in, because if you'd gone through too many different zones, it would just start lagging out and it would be, unplayable. But yeah, like, it was just a massive nostalgia trip for me. I'm just rolling around all these zones, and a thing which was happening to me is I'd forget the names of stuff in zones, but once I got to the zone, the name straight away came back to me. Like, I was trying my best to go around all the zones to get to show as much as it off as I could. You got to remember, I'm a level like 13 idiot, so I'm just dying instantly if anything touches me. I went to the Fear, which is a level 30 to 40 zone. Now 50 is the max level, so 40 to 50 is Everfrost and Lava Storm. They were the top tier zones. So this is the zone just below that, the Fear. Now it's a massive jungle. This is, and it's a massive zone. All the zones are massive in EverQuest. And I couldn't remember what the temple was called. I knew there was a temple. And then as soon as I got to the zone, I was like, yeah, Temple of Kazakh Thul. Straight away, I knew what it was called. It was like, I didn't even... But I knew it. It was like, okay, it's like a big Aztec pyramid. And there was a raid boss in there, and there was a load of other stuff you could do in the zone. Like, just I don't know. I'm never going to get that feeling again of where you are actually exploring in a world where there is you reach a massive pyramid. I mean, imagine getting to a point in WoW where you come up to a big pyramid. Once again, the names of all the places or like a big building or something. Like what's the bloody place called? Ice Crown Citadel. So you walk up to that, right? Massive building. It's like, holy shit, what's this going to be? You go in there and imagine it being populated with just normal players. But there's loads of mobs in there, and there's loads of nooks and crannies in this building. And you could spend 2 hours fighting your way all the way down to like some far reach of it, where you feel now that you're right in the middle of that dungeon. You know there are other people with you, but they can't get to you because you're so deep in that dungeon. But you know you are there, and there are other people there, and you've explored down to that point, and it's crazy. That is like such a crazy feeling, instead of like what WoW gives you is, here's a dungeon, there's the start, there's the exit, and you just go through it, and that's it. Yeah. This is like a living thing, like you're inside the zone in the dungeon, and you're in there as long as you want to be, and it's just such a crazy feeling. But like
there's more exploration, isn't it? It's like there's more.
Yeah, it promotes you to go and actually have a look around. Because I mean, like in EverQuest, little things like Nectulus Castle. This is a vampire infested castle, right, in Neck Forest, and Nectrops Castle it's called, and but everybody just calls it Neck Castle. This has got things in it like what would you call them? Where you put your torch on the wall. Some of them you can click on them and move them,
like a sconce.
Yeah. You click on them, and like a secret wall would open, but you wouldn't know unless you clicked on it. Or there'd be things like a pressure plate somewhere, and it'd open up another door, and all of this crap. And that's going on in the zone, and it's like, holy shit! Like that is such a good thing. I mean, even it, like on the video, I showed this in more detail with the Storm Hold Castle, where as you're running down there are like bells and stuff that you can pull, like in the entrance hall, and it'll mark it with your name. It'll be like, Stylosa Last Ring the Bell or something. But then further down, there's like secret doors. There's like fireplaces that you can walk in and drop down, and goes to like the servants' quarters, and then it's just crazy. Like, honestly, I'd forgot how much I enjoyed that game. And when I've got to thank them for giving me the opportunity to actually go back to those areas again, because they don't exist in the game as it stands currently.
Yeah.
But I am not entirely happy with how they've done it, because it isn't actually a proper, true, original experience. There are things there which should not be there, like the fact that you can't go to the racial areas pisses me off in the cities. The fact that you've got like a load of different armor models. The guards look totally different. They've got armor which just didn't exist in the game. Loads of people running around on crazy mounts which just were not available at that time. You didn't have flying mounts at that period. Like, people weren't going around on magic carpets. That they were introduced in Desert of Flames, because that was the desert expansion with the genies. So it's.
Is that stuff like in there purely because they didn't want to take it out, or do you think it's a technical limitation, or do you think they just weren't, like, I guess, clever enough in keeping like stuff original as the upgraded, because I'm pretty sure one of the reasons that Blizzard's always said they wouldn't go back to original WoW is because like they've changed all of that. Like they can't go back to original WoW. A lot of people would like them to do that, but if they're not keeping like I guess just the data from when that was the game, then it's kind of hard to go back. And
I feel like they've no, I feel like what the case is they must have older versions of the game which they could just simply upload and that would be it. You know, they've got to save those client versions. But I think the reason why it is how it is so it can still facilitate all of the free-to-play stuff which has been put in. So when you first load the game up, it opens up with the store and it's like, oh, welcome to the store. And it's like, oh, I don't want the store. You know, like I think it's offensive that the store is even in the time-locked expansion because you have to buy their Station All Access Pass, which is £8.99 a month, which guess what is the same as a World of Warcraft subscription. So you are basically paying a subscription fee.
You are paying
and also
just to get access
they're
to
like,
it.
Yeah, and also they're like, oh, but by the way, you can buy the free-to-play stuff. Now, when I played it and recorded the video, which is on the channel, I did not fully understand the free-to-play element because I hadn't looked at it. Since I have, and I've been to their forums, and it is just awash with people going, it's bullshit that you can buy elixirs, which I believe are XP boost items. You can buy this, you can buy that, and it's just like there are people who are max level within 3 days, and it's like, mate, it would take you a month
3
plus.
days.
It would take you like a month more because hello. Just to explain to you like how difficult it would be to level in EverQuest 2, you can't solo. Well, you could, but it would be really slow. You cannot solo. You need to be in a group. So you'd have to find a group of multiple people, and then, you know, move to another level range, but then hopefully try and find more people after you've leveled out of that range, and then find a good leveling spot. And it would have been so difficult. You would not have been able to do it in that time frame. Even with a dedicated group of players, there's no way. But yeah, you can buy XP potions. So they've kind of fucked it over. They've done the typical Daybreak Games bullshit to it. But still, I was really... It made me happy to mess around on it, but I'm never going to play it.
But it's not something you go back to.
No, it was enjoyable to play through the Isle of Refuge again, and it was enjoyable just to look at what was what, because the zones are still the same, apart from the city, which has been changed, but it's not playable. Like, I couldn't play it because I'd need a group of people. Like, you cannot play it on your own. You just cannot. You couldn't, like, with WoW, you could just totally fire that up now and just do a bit of questing, and it's fine. Yeah. I'm not saying that's good or a bad thing.
You could do a bit of questing. You could do a bit of raiding if you wanted to. It's got all of that facilitated in, hasn't it? So
yeah, but I think that's a bad thing though, because it's a bad and a good thing. It fucks up the social interaction, which is like EverQuest is built like on a shitload of social interaction. If you do not talk to other people, you do not get to max level. That is it, right? And if you're an arsehole to people, they tell you to fuck off. You couldn't change the name of your character or any of that shit, so you'd have to delete your character. People would do this, you know? If you became known as a bit of a dickhead, if you were a ninja looter, you know, like when you were laughing, like saying, oh, you loot the box, ninja loot, you just would never be invited to a group ever again. Everybody would know you were a shithead, and that was it. So it was a lot more... You know, people say you're anonymous on the internet. You kind of are, but you were still that character in EverQuest, and you had to.
Yeah, there's still a name.
You had to have
attached.
standards. You couldn't just be a dickhead. Like in WoW, you could just fucking go around and do what you like, and nobody cares. You know, so whatever. But thanks to them for giving me the experience of that game again. Will I go back to it? No. If you've played EverQuest 2 when I played it, then definitely you should give it a shot. So this is like the original Desert of Flames, Kingdom of Sky, and Echoes of Fader. They were the expansions I played. Anything beyond that, I don't have a clue about. So yeah.
Well, I've actually played quite a lot, but only of one game this week, and that was since I got the new guitar on the Tuesday. It was Tuesday, wasn't it? Yeah. And I've played a load of Rocksmith since I got that guitar. Like I was playing it before with the other guitar I've got, but it's gonna sound weird. Rocksmith feels like a new game now. It's more enjoyable than it was before, and it is purely down to the fact I've got a different instrument to play it with. And even though I'm not familiar with the guitar very much, but I'll grab it just quickly. If I can move. No. So this is what arrived on Tuesday, which is ESP LTD EC331. If you like hearing
hang on.
A meaningless collection of numbers and letters.
Run that by me again.
ESP LTD EC331. And if you want to be like full on like idiot about it, it's actually the EC331 BLKS because it's the black one. Because no one who makes guitars knows how to bloody title them anything other than random letters and numbers. But this is totally different to the guitar I had before, which I'm still keeping, just not using for like Rocksmith and stuff. So it's almost like. Do you remember when you had a PlayStation and you had the original PlayStation controller which didn't have the analog sticks on? It was just the D-pad and the 4 buttons, but there was no analog sticks because the analog sticks came in with the DualShock.
Yeah, I remember the DualShock, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I remember using the original controller that had no analog sticks and then switching to the DualShock, which feels completely different, obviously, because it's got added bits onto it. It's pretty much like that, only more expensive and not quite as easy. And the difference between this and my other guitar has made Rocksmith feel completely different because I'm actually able to play stuff that I wasn't able to play before. And this is going to sound really weird.
What makes it different?
Well,
because it's not as good, is it? Like it isn't as good as the other guitar.
Yeah, technically this guitar's not as good as my other guitar. This is I think it's about half the price of the one I had before. I need to stop saying that. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm keeping it. But so the difference is that there's two. There's more than two. Firstly, is the size of the body. So it's quite a slim guitar. It's not that heavy. It's quite a slim body, but it's not a hollow body. It's a solid body guitar. So my other one is hollow body. So instead of it being like a massive piece of wood, effectively, you've got like an echo chamber inside. It's like an acoustic guitar, but just a lot thinner, and that kind of creates a different sound. And the pickups on that guitar are designed to work with that.
What's
type
the pickup?
Of body. That's these bits here.
I can't see. Hang on. You have to hold it the other side for me to see because like my webcam is in the way.
There we go. That's the pickups there and there. And what they do is they take the vibration from the string and they push it through the body of the guitar into out of that socket.
Okay, so it goes to the amplifier.
Yeah, down into the amplifier. Oh shit! I just banged it on the ceiling. And there's like everything about them is different. The body's different, so it produces a different sound. The pickups are different. So on my other guitar, the pickups are passive pickups. They're called.
So they're designed for like different styles of music, then.
Yeah, like completely different. My other guitar is designed for like kind of like bluesy rock and like kind of jazz playing, that kind of thing. It's got a very warm, rich tone. It doesn't have a huge amount of sustain. So like when you play a note and then you just leave the string going and don't move. On my other guitar, the sound it fades a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Because it's got passive pickups which behave differently to these, which are active pickups, which means that if I play a chord at the end of a song on Rocksmith, it's all educational song. If I play a chord at the end of a song on Rocksmith and then just leave it, that chord will still be going by the time I start playing the next song.
Okay.
Which is completely different. Like it just picks up the sound differently and it produces it differently as well. So the sound is a lot more aggressive. Like that's the only way I can describe it. The sound that comes out of this guitar
Play grinder on it.
It's not plugged into anything. It would sound terrible.
When it makes some sort of noise, though.
No, that's the other thing as well.
Can't
my
you
other
plug
guitar,
it into something?
Not upstairs. The amplifier's downstairs.
Can't you plug it into the PC?
I could plug it into the PC, but I have to start Rocksmith and stuff whilst this is still going.
Yeah, but that would
give it a try.
Do it.
Give it a try.
It'll work.
Oh, I need to turn voice meter off first as well. This is gone. So if this all breaks, then I'm blaming you. Also, I can't see where the thing is. Look at me, I'm like an old man.
Hey, old man.
Okay.
You need to get some eye plastic.
Device. Okay, right. So that's set as that. So now, if I open up Steam. So yeah, the other thing as well is the neck on this guitar is completely different too.
Is it made of mahogany?
I think it might be actually. I can't remember what this is. What wood this
cedar?
is. I'm going to check. Because someone will be all over me.
If
I say that it's made of the wrong thing.
Is this like one of is guitars like one of these things where you just get destroyed? Like somebody's just sitting there,
yes.
like, mate,
Oh,
you're
yes.
just. It's like them
Yeah,
fucking
you're
bikes
just
with
talking,
me. Yeah,
You're
it's
talking
like,
shit, mate. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Oh, you're an idiot.
Christ.
I'm just going to double check what wood it's made out of. I might have made the mahogany thing up. No, I was right. It is. The body and the neck are mahogany. So it is literally a mahogany guitar, which for some reason makes me laugh, and I don't actually know why, and I couldn't tell you why, but it does. But the neck is thinner, which doesn't sound like it'd make a difference. But also the finish on it is different. So it's kind of like slippery almost. Like my hand doesn't get caught. I can just do that and it doesn't do anything. And the frets are different. So the frets are like deeper. So when I put my finger on the fret, the note comes out quicker. Like I don't have to press down as hard. All of that means I can play the guitar faster than I could the other guitar.
Complicated as shit.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. I've had 3 guitars in my life. Well, excluding the acoustic guitar. I had a shit Argos guitar when I first started. When I was 18.
Hang on. Hey, I had a shit Argos guitar. My nan bought it me for Christmas once, like years ago when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just got it out and just plugged it into the amplifier and went, meh, and that was it. And then it got sold. It was shit, bloke.
Anyway. And I've just realised if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to quickly mess about with sound settings. You never know what you're going to get with Pubcast. You just don't. It could be anything. So I'm going to switch over the sound on TeamSpeak. So Stylosa will be not audible for a second. So, you know, you can go ahead and be as offensive as you like for a second. Okay. And they still can't... He is making all kinds of horrible noises. You just can't hear it right now. And... if you speak again, sir. No, it's still broken. It's not going to work for him. He's doing it, but speak again, sir. No, we've broken the sound. We've broken the sound on OBS, which is an absolute horror show. Luckily, I can stop recording and then start again. And it won't make a difference because this is all his fault. He wanted to do something fancy, and now it's broken, and it's his fault. It's not my fault, it's his fault. So there'll be a short break in the video, because I'm going to have to edit it together afterwards, and he's still listening, and now he's laughing, you just can't hear him. The bastard. There we go, it's like it never happened. What a bastard. Yeah, they can hear you.
I like a kippa, and I like it on toast. Oh, kippa, it is on toast.
You can stop doing that now, I can hear you again. This is we've gone back to professional mode here, bloke. You're letting the side down now.
Where's my grinder then? I've been promised, you bastard.
You won't even be able to hear it. That's the best thing.
Hey, that's no good.
So this whole thing was a complete waste of time.
I'll just imagine it then.
But yeah, so the neck on the guitar is different. The strings are different because they're.
Well, hang on. Are you going to play it or what? Or is that just the end of it?
No, I'm going to play something.
Fucking bastard.
You've made us go through all of this. I've got to at least do something with it. Otherwise, it's just a complete waste of everybody's time. It might well have been anyway, but.
So how'd you learn it then? How'd you visualise the notes and make them into string presses?
I don't. That's a lot more of a complicated question than you think it is. I don't really.
Sounds complicated as fuck to me anyway.
How do you
make a note? How does a note correspond to a string tickle? If I went into a shop and went, "Hello, mate, teach me the magic of guitar playing. How does a note correspond to a string tickle?" What would they say to me?
They'd probably think you're on drugs.
But basically, if I said I am on drugs,
that's E. That's a low E, which you can probably just about hear. I'm plugging.
I can't see shit down there.
Like that. That's an E, which you can see there. And that's
what are you using there? Plectrum thing?
Yeah.
I thought you just blasted your fingers on it and watched them bleed.
No, that would be disastrous. I wouldn't even try that. So, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. What are we recording at this point?
I can hear it.
Rocksmith,
I could hear it as well then.
What, you can hear the actual thing? Or just the sound of the guitar not very well?
I can hear a guitar.
Oh, that's right then. The thing is, you won't be able to hear the difference between this and anything, because it's going to be just the guitar for you. But they'll be able to hear the sound of Rocksmith in the background.
Yeah, but it's grinder.
Odd. So
what? Give me grinder, man.
This is just what are we even doing here? That sounds nothing to you, but
That
it sounds
sounds
like something
shit
on
to
there.
me.
It's because you haven't got any distortion or anything, because you're just hearing the guitar, not the actual thing, which is what I said a minute ago.
It's like somebody with a little...
Yeah, it won't sound like anything to you.
You've let me down here, bloke.
But it makes a massive, massive difference. And it's effectively just turned... It's like made Rocksmith more enjoyable again, and made it more interesting again. And even though I haven't played the guitar very much, well, compared to the other one, because I played the other one for like...
How long would it take me to learn the guitar?
Probably not that long. It depends what...
Well,
it's kind of... Sounds daft, but that's kind of a difficult question just because it's different levels of experience. But like...
but hang on a minute.
If you picked up...
I'm okay with my fingers, right? Because I'm type on the keyboard all day and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I'm all right with sound because I do sound editing, so I must be able to hear the difference, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Hang on a sec. Let me just put...
Could I take you out with an Argos guitar?
Take you out with what? Beat someone with it?
I'm googling Argos guitar. Are these the worst ones or something?
Well, for a beginner, they're all right. You're not going to want anything particularly amazing to start with.
Well, what do you need? A bass guitar? No, an electric guitar.
No, electric guitar. So I reckon if you picked up, if you
60
picked
quid.
Up, is that with an amp, or is it by itself?
No, it's just by itself.
Yeah, I was going to say if that's that's incredibly cheap if it's with an amp.
It's 100 quid. A Rockburn. What the fuck's a Rockburn, bloke?
That's like not, as far as I know, that is not a particularly good make of guitar. But then it's not supposed to be.
It's got an
just
amp.
like,
It's 100 quid, bloke. Of course, it's going to be shit.
Yeah, I can see it on Amazon. It's like 100 quid for a guitar and an amp and a little strap and some strings and shit.
Yeah.
I reckon, honestly, if you picked up like a beginner's guitar, which could be anywhere from 60 quid to 150 quid, and picked up a copy of Rocksmith, you could probably learn to play it to at least a fairly decent standard in maybe even a month. Honestly, it's not that hard. This is why I really like Rocksmith. It's like I could already play guitar when I picked up Rocksmith. So for me, it was just improving on what I'd already learned and learning how to play songs that I like, and using the session mode to kind of learn how to basically do better solos and stuff, because it's got a mode where you press space, you start playing, the game matches your speed. Like, you tell it what key to play and it matches your speed, and then it changes the key and you have to change with it, otherwise it's going to sound like shit. So you're kind of forced to think outside of what you'd normally do. And that's really good if you've already been playing and you want to learn how to, do decent solos or come up with tunes yourself on the fly. It's really good for that. If you want to just learn the guitar, then if you start a new profile, say, I've never played the guitar before, this is my first guitar, never even touched it, and I want to learn how to become a lead guitarist, then you go in, you tell it this, you pick a song, and in fact you can order it by difficulty as well. So you could say, I know nothing, so give me the easiest song in the program.
What's that? What is the easiest song it gives you?
I'm not, maybe, I think probably something like, there's a song by the Dead Weather, which is really, really easy, which is just a really simple part. It's really simple for, in fact, all of them, lead, bass, and rhythm. But it can give you the easiest possible part in the easiest possible song, and then just start you off from there. And it will say to you, it's like, so when you see this shape...
You could sell guitars with Rocksmith, and that would teach an idiot how to play...
Oh yeah, people do.
Guitar.
Yeah, if you... Rocksmith guitar pack, I think there's a few places that... Well, Ubisoft do a pack, but I have seen actual shops sell like beginner guitars with copies of Rocksmith. And you get the cable to plug into the PC, you get the game, and you get the guitar, and it tells you how to set it up. And it is literally, and I mean, Kat's done this. My wife's done this with the bass. She wanted to learn to play the bass. She's given up because she's horrendously impatient, and she didn't know how to play the bass after playing it for half an hour. So she decided it wasn't worth it.
Half an hour, fuck this.
But you literally just set it all up and you just say, I'm a complete beginner. I want to be a rhythm guitarist. How do I play the guitar? And it will show you how to play it. It will show you what the things on the screen mean. So you've watched me stream it.
Yeah.
Like, when you see the little like the little red bars and the blue bars and the yellow
Yeah, I
bars
don't
on the screen.
understand that. And then there's like windows that you go through as well and shit like
Yeah,
that.
but at the very start, it'll show you what those mean. So it'll say if you see a little red bar and you see the number 3 underneath it, that means you put your finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, and this is the E string.
Yeah.
And it will start you off. So you could play a song through and you will only play one note. Like, that will be it. It will just be teaching you, that is the 3rd fret, it is on that string, this is like the rhythm of that note. Then you go back again and you say, I want to play the same song again. It'll assess your performance based on your accuracy to the last one.
And then just like upgrades it a little bit.
And then it upgrades it a little bit. If you do it from a beginner standpoint, which is what we did with Cat and the bass, you may well be playing the same sequence of the same song like 3 times until you get it like 90% accurate or 100% accurate, and then it might give you one more note every other bar. So it can be slow, but you can speed it up if you want, because you can set the difficulty yourself. So if you're kind of going faster than the program, you can actually say to it, actually, I'm a bit better than this, so can you make it more complex? And it will. Honestly, it's...
Can you put your own songs into this and it just turns them into a track?
No. Well, you sort of can. There's apparently a very big custom DLC scene for Rocksmith, which people have been telling me to get into, because at the moment I can only play songs that Ubisoft have done.
How much is this? Is this really expensive for DLC?
It is quite. If you add up all the DLC for Rocksmith 2014 in Steam, it comes to just.
I guess it's like fucking hell. I guess it's something like.
But I'm actually gonna go to the DLC for it, so people can see how much DLC it is, because that sounds horrendous.
Is it discounted though? Like when there's a Steam sale on?
I think so. Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of DLCs be discounted. But here we go. So this is the first page. I'll switch over to the desktop, and this gives you an idea. So we have here Rocksmith 2014 DLC. So I'm scrolling down, showing 1 of 25 of 504. So there's 504 bits of DLC for this song, for this program, because I keep calling it a game, but it's not really. It kind of is, but it kind of isn't a game. And that's because people have complained about this before, and whenever someone complains about the price of DLC on Rocksmith, I kind of feel like I have to point out it's not the same as DLC. It's not the same as like, oh, they've released a new hat or something. Because for every single song that is in Rocksmith, first of all, they've got to get permission from the copyright holder.
Yeah.
Then they've got to pay the copyright holder for the song, obviously. Then they have to get a group of people who are effectively like writing parts for the song to write a part for each part of the song. So you've got rhythm guitar, and then you've got lead guitar, and then you've got bass. You've then got to recreate the sound that you hear from the guitar parts. So if you're playing Hysteria by Muse, that's a good example. I believe that's DLC. That song comes with like 5 different sounds for your guitar, because there are 5 different like sounds that Muse use in the song. So you've got a really sort of overdriven, distorted sound. You've got a less distorted sound. You've got a clean sound. You've got the bass sound, and then you've got a chorus sound. So they've got to.
So it's like a shitload of work for each song.
Oh yeah, it's an insane amount of work. And then of course you've got to add in the fact that, like the difficulty algorithm that comes with the thing, it's obviously a bit different for each song, because if a song's really simple, then the parts are really simple, and therefore it can ramp up the difficulty in like a different way to a song that's really complex. So whenever someone sits there and goes, oh, £6.50 for 3 songs, I'm like, £6.50 for 3 songs to be licensed, so they've got to be paid for a group of people to sit there, listen to them all the way through, go through the original sheet music if there is any, because some bands just don't really do that. Then they've got to write out all the parts, then they've got to put all the parts into Rocksmith. Then they've got to make it so that all of the parts sound the same as they do in the song, using effects from amplifiers that they have to put in to the program to make it sound like that to begin with. That's a fucking bargain. That's an insane amount of money, in that it's so small for how much work goes into it. And honestly, I reckon if you went to somewhere and got a copy of Rocksmith, there's no point buying a really expensive guitar to start with, unless you really, you're going to be learning it forever.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right? It's the same attitude with mountain bikes, isn't it? And bikes and whatever. It's like don't buy don't buy a shit bike.
Yeah.
To say to begin with, because you may as well buy a good one, because the shit one isn't going to give you the experience, so you might actually think it's worse than it is. So if you did buy a more expensive one, but again, the problem is, to like a layman on the outside of these sort of things, it's the same for me with guitars, it'd be like with you with bikes now, I guess. If I just rolled up to you and said, oh mate, you want to go downhill mountain biking, you're going to need 1,200 quid minimum for a bike. You're just going to be like, for a bike, mate, you're joking me, you know. But
it would be,
you know,
But then it's kind of, I don't know. I'm very pro Rocksmith, not just because I like it, but because I think it's actually it's much more of an achievement than I think people give it credit for, because it's made me infinitely better than I was before. Like, I could play guitar before, but I could play guitar okay, and I didn't know that many songs. And if you sat me down and just showed me something and said, play that, the chances are I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
But there are some songs in Rocksmith that I've got like 95% mastery of, which means, you know, you're basically getting 95% of the song right every time. That not even a year
so,
ago,
you know, like
Metallica
or somebody on stage, right?
Yeah.
Whoever their guitar chap is. If he's, well, they've got multiple ones, haven't they? But whatever, one guy, right, he's playing the thing. How much would he be expected to get right with a song? I mean, he's not going to get 100% right. Is he? Surely he'll make one little mistake or something.
No, I've listened to plenty of live Metallica, and generally speaking, the solos are where they tend to.
They just do crazy shit, like.
Yeah, they either don't attempt to do it or they'll mess it up a little bit. Which, to be honest, in a live performance is fair enough. I never expect like 100% accuracy from a live performance, because there's a lot of stuff at play. There's the adrenaline of being stuck in front of 10,000 people singing along to your song for a start, which is always going to have an effect on you. But Rocksmith does kind of.
See, I've always preferred though listening to things like Iron Maiden live albums and any kind of like studio album or anything like that.
You get a different vibe.
Vivo or something like that. The one from Chile, that's really good. That album is like
you get a different vibe from them than you do from studio, because you've got the crowd singing along and stuff. That's actually something I really like about Rocksmith, is something that everyone wants to do when they play the guitar, whether they want to admit it or not, is they would like to be able to play in front of people, ideally with other people in front of people. It's like everyone, even if you don't really want it, there's always going to be a moment where you think it'd be really cool if I could play this live. When you're playing along to Rocksmith and you do well and you're getting the notes and you're hitting the different riffs and stuff, it has crowd noises that swell and kind of reduce. So if you fuck up a phrase, then the crowd's silent. If you're playing along really well, you can hear like cheering in your head. You can hear cheering through your earphones and people,
that's quite good,
singing and stuff. And it's only background noise, but if I'm playing along to Knights of Sidonia, the fact that when I'm like nailing parts of the song, and I don't do that well with Knights of Sidonia because I haven't got very good timing on one part of it, but the bits I have got good timing on, it gives you confidence. It like buoys you up. The game actually kind of says you're doing really well and makes it sound as though there is a huge group of people who really appreciate you doing well. And that's like an extra incentive, because it's like, you're not actually in front of loads of people, but you feel like you are. So you kind of go out of a song, and even if it's not gone that well, you're like, I did that a bit well. I bet I could do it perfect next time. And then you go back in. It gives you that reward of actually playing well.
Who's the best of all time then?
I have no idea. I don't know. There's loads of stuff on YouTube for Rocksmith of obviously videos that have been instantly claimed by other people.
The best guitar player that plays that type of guitar, not bass, that thing.
I don't know. That's kind of down to
personal preference. Well, who are the top 5 then?
Well, for me, my favourite guitarist is Joe Satriani, easily. And
right,
Paul
I know of
Gilbert
him
as well.
I've got some of his music on Spotify and one of the playlists. I think that's Satriani chap.
Yeah, he's him, Paul Gilbert, probably Slash is up there for me as well. I mean, Slash's last couple of albums have been the best stuff he's ever done, like better than Guns N' Roses for me. And actually, Dave Mustaine from Megadeth are probably my top 4. I don't think I've got any others that I like as much, like enough to kind of name them as being a favourite. But yeah, it's, I don't know. That's why, in a way, that's kind of why I like streaming Rocksmith as well, because I've had multiple people now who've kind of gone, oh, I've bought a guitar now. Like someone tweeted me the other day and said, I've just bought this to learn guitar on, and I've got Rocksmith. Yeah. And it's because I know. I always like preface each of the streams by saying I'm not a professional guitar player. I just like playing
You know
guitar.
what? This is just like, yeah, it's like with me and the Warhammer. It's like I'm always going, look, I'm not a fucking master modeler or painter. I just like doing it.
If you come here expecting me to play each song and get 100% in it all the time and it to sound the most amazing,
do you get people doing that? I get that. The backseat fucking modelers just sitting there. Like, I mean, I remember there was this one guy turned up and he was like, he just opened up with, "I've got 20 years experience. You shouldn't be allowed to show people how to do this. You're a disgrace to this."
I remember that. And, that was
blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, what the hell is this, mate?
Yeah, that was really poor.
So now I always joke about having 20 years experience.
Yeah,
but
I always say like I just do this for fun and I do it because I enjoy it and it's
a hobby
like
and
it's something I like. And it's like I always say, like when people like the big thing for the Rocksmith streams is people can ask me to play a song.
Yeah.
And whenever someone asks me to play a song, I do always say, "Yep, I'll give it a go." It might not sound any good.
There's a shitload of songs, isn't there?
There's loads. And if you include the DLC, like people have started actually sending me the DLC, which is actually really helpful because a couple of times, because I've bought like 3 bits of DLC in a row, my bank account, like the co-op bank's been like, "The fuck is no," and just cut me off. And
They do that thing where you get a call and it's like fraud protection line. You're like, hello?
Yeah.
And they're like,
yeah, it's because
it's suspicious activity. Do you know what's happened on this date? And you're like, what? What? They rang me up the bank and they were like, I bought something which was very obscure, but it was about $4 it cost. And I'm like, they're going, "Sir, what did you buy from this company?" And I'm like, "I don't remember. But sir, you'll have to confirm this. If you can't confirm it, sir, then I'll have to." And I'm like, and in the end, I just went, "Oh yeah, I remember that." And they went, "Sir, are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't fucking remember. But then later when I checked, I was like, "Yeah, that's what it was." But I was like, I was under pressure. I was like, "Shit, what are they calling me for? What's going on?"
It's because like when you buy individual songs, they're like £2 or £2.50, and I bought 3 individual songs in the space of like 15 minutes. So I'd play it, and then someone would go, "Oh, can you play this?" And I'd be like, "Okay," and then I'd grab it. And then they were like, "No, you're not allowed to do that. Stop spending £2 at a time online. It's not." And so people have started sending me stuff. But I always say it's like, I'll give it a try. It might not sound any good, but I'll give it a go because that's the other thing with Rocksmith. It kind of gets you to play stuff you wouldn't ordinarily play. Like I would not, like the XX for instance, that band. I don't listen to the XX. I don't really care about the XX. I'm not that big a fan. They're all right, I suppose. But they have a song on Rocksmith, and I kind of liked the little riff that it had. So I was like, I'll give it a go. But I've done that with so many things. Like I've played music on there that I would never listen to, but I'll play along to. And when people sort of say, "Oh, can you play along to this?" I outright said, "I don't want to play along to that." Like someone on Tuesday asked for Arctic Monkeys. I don't like Arctic Monkeys, but they asked for it, and I was like, "Well, I don't have to buy it. It's already in the game. I might as well give it a go." It turned out it was actually a really fun guitar part to play, and it's kind of that combination of it's teaching you how to play the instrument. If you already play it, it's making you better at it. It's got a really good way of explaining how to play, and it does a really good job of building up, like the parts that you're playing. And it just introduces you to stuff that you wouldn't do before, like you wouldn't ordinarily do. It makes you play stuff that you wouldn't normally listen to. And most of the time when you do that, you find that it's actually quite rewarding because it'll teach you something you didn't know before. Like there's a song called "Go Further," which is an instrumental thing by, I think he's a Japanese artist, and it's quite a difficult song. I can play most of it. I can't do the solo because it's just
Is
weird.
It multiplayer? Like, could somebody else plug in and play this?
See, this is the other thing as well. If I had 2 cables, you could absolutely come round here. I could give you my bass or my other guitar, and we could play it together.
That's pretty fucking good.
If you've got 2 cables plugged in, you can play it multiplayer, and you can both play along at the same time. Which, I mean, I've not done it yet because I've only got 1 cable, but I would love to try it. I would honestly love to try it because that just adds to the kind of social experience of it. Because even though you're playing it alone, it still feels like a social experience because it has that crowd background to it, and it has that kind of that instant feedback of that was really cool. So here's some noise to show that it was really cool.
Yeah.
But because it's the noise of people being appreciative, it's like, oh, that was pretty awesome. And of course, anytime you play stuff like again, like playing it on
You know,
stream.
I really like the idea of this. It's like such a specialist thing that is like actually
It is.
something which does is not like a piece of shit, which isn't like, you know, because most people, if you said, oh yeah, Rocksmith, you can play the guitar on your Xbox or your PC or your PlayStation or whatever, they're just instantly going to think of fucking Guitar Hero, ain't they? And they're like, well, that's not real, you know.
That's the thing. The number of people who've come into the stream, like a couple of people did it on Tuesday. And they were like, so how close is this to... Someone actually said, how close is this to playing a real guitar? And there was actually something kind of fun about just holding up the guitar and going, it's pretty fucking close. It's,
yeah, it is a real guitar. Yeah,
it is a real guitar, and that's what it is. But, yeah, I don't know. I always kind of feel like I shouldn't call it a game because I feel like it's kind of half game, half like educational software, but presented in a game way. It almost feels like it's doing it a disservice, kind of making it as simple as it's a game where you play the guitar. But actually, having had that new guitar from Tuesday, I found myself playing it every day. And I kind of did that anyway, but it'd be like I'd load it up and maybe play a song or two, and then I'd close it down. Whereas the chances are, I mean, I've got to go out tonight, although this is Thursday, this makes no sense on a Saturday. And I've no doubt that when I get back, I'll want to play Rocksmith again because I want to play it on the new guitar because it sounds different and it's refreshed the experience for me again. And it's made me want to stream it more as well. Like, I'd quite like to stream it on Sunday if I could because it's like, I want to keep playing something that it's still a challenge. Like, I don't think there's ever a point where you could play Rocksmith and be like, oh, well, that was easy. Because you could do that for some songs. There are some songs on there where I'll play it and I'll absolutely say, it's quite an easy song. But for every one I do that to, there's another song where I'll play it and I'll sit there and it will get to the solo and I'll just go, how the fuck am I even supposed to do that? But if I keep trying it and you keep going back, then it will teach you how to do that. So you might feel like that at first, but you can actually do it eventually. And it's kind of proven by the fact that, you know, you can look at a song where you started out, you played it for the first time, and you got like 2%, and your accuracy was shit. But then 4 months down the line, you're still only playing it every now and again, but you've gone up to like 60% mastery, which means you can play a good portion of that song accurately. You might not be able to play it all the way through blindfolded perfectly, but you can play it a damn sight better than you could when you first tried, and it just keeps going, and it just keeps making you better over and over again. I absolutely love it. It's a brilliant thing. It really is. It's for all of Ubisoft's shit like approach to stuff. They've kind of made something that I would genuinely be upset.
I still don't understand how this fucking works. How the hell does this take the? How does it know? How does it know, bloke? How does it know?
I have no idea.
How does it know?
I don't know. I've got no clue.
How does it know?
The first time I saw it, I was like, how the fuck does this even work? Like, I don't understand. It's something to do with transfer, like, kind of taking it from analog to digital and all that. But how it does it, like, as quick as it does it and as accurately as it does it, because there's no delay. Unless you fuck up your settings, there's no delay between me playing the string on the guitar and it coming through the software. No. But it's got to be doing something. And it's not like my CPU's wrapped for like 100%. It's just like, how the...
You C3PO, bloke, fucking hell. Anyway, it's my turn now. I played Command & Conquer Renegade X. Now, I played Renegade when I was a kid, but I used to go to a local LAN cafe on a buzz with all my mates, right? And we used to go up there and we played Renegade, and it was fucking crazy. Yeah, it was crazy. There was about 7 of us. And then we found Counter-Strike, so then we never played it again. But anyway, Renegade was awesome, right? And I played this Renegade X about 2.5 years ago, and there's actually a video on the channel, and it was in a bit of a sorry state, but you could see what they were trying to do, remake Renegade in the Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
They've done it now, and it's fucking absolutely crazy. All Renegade is Command & Conquer as if it was an FPS game, but you get to play as the tanks, as the infantry, and as the special characters. Right, you've even got a harvester that goes out into the field to harvest Tiberium, which is retarded because it's a massive battlefield in the middle and it always gets killed. So what you got to do is destroy the enemy base.
Play as the harvester?
No, the harvester's automatic. We can protect it. Play as the harvester.
Be that guy. I'm going to be the harvester. They just gets wiped out straight away. Well, what do you expect, mate?
So you got to blow up their buildings, right? And each building obviously does something to the base. You have to blow every single building up and then you win. Now, the way the game goes is if you destroy a building, you're probably going to win because you've gimped them completely. unless it's like a defensive building, because they don't matter as such. So Nod, obviously, they've got the Obelisk of Light, which fires a big laser beam and kills you instantly, which is pretty powerful. But when a load of guys are rushing the base, it's not that good. And GDI have got the Advanced Guard Tower, which fires like loads of missiles and shit at you, which again does loads of damage and whatever. If you lose your power plant, though, that's pretty bad. Everything's like slower and shitter. If you lose your harvester, your refinery, that's pretty bad because your cash flow's now kippered. If you lose your barracks, you lose access to the infantry characters, which there's like loads of crazy characters. Like if you play Command and Conquer, you'll know like Dr. Mobius is like a crazy guy who works on the Tiberium. You can play as him, and he like runs around with a Tiberium lightning cannon or something stupid. And there's characters which are sort of made up. Like one is this female commando, and she's got a personal ion cannon. That's a weapon, and it's like when it does shitloads of damage, and it's just totally ridiculous. And then there's Havoc, who is the commando. You know, like, I got a present for you. Yeah, and he's like, you got him, and then you got all these. It's like totally stupid. And each one's like good at one thing. Like he's an anti-vehicle sniper, and then you've got like anti-infantry snipers. Although he's really good at anti-infantry as well. And you've got like loads of different ones. And Nod have got like all of the Black Hand guys who are like the crazy Nod special forces, the chemical troopers, the fucking mental guys, and whatever. But the best thing is you can play as fucking vehicles. So you can just run into the war factory or any building, click on the console, and it comes up with like what you want to buy. Now, Renegade did this, and obviously they've faithfully recreated this for Renegade X. You can pick what you want your character to be. When you like, you say you want to be an engineer or something, you instantly turn into it. Or if you buy a character, you instantly turn into them. But a vehicle, it comes out of the war factory, or it gets dropped off at the airstrip if you're Nod. And the airstrip for Nod looks fucking crazy, because the massive whatever cargo plane comes down like this, and it's got like retro thrusters on it. It goes, like rockets that burst, so it slows down like that, drops the tank and flies off. It's crazy. It's like such a massive thing as it comes in.
Yeah.
And then you can like jump in the tanks and drive around, and just it's. I mean, there is nothing better than driving a mammoth tank for GDI. Getting in that mammoth tank and driving around like you are the pimp of time and space in a mammoth tank is beautiful, because you just rail people.
Because I saw you in that thing, and you were wrecking shop. It was.
It's just dead powerful, but it's really expensive, and obviously it can be taken out with like the right weaponry. But it's like it's crazy.
I'm pretty sure I saw someone attacking you in the mammoth tank with a flamethrower, and I was like, "Why? Like, what the hell are you doing?"
No. I mean, talking about the game itself, the first game I played was. There will be a video on the channel. Well, it's definitely on the channel now. By the time you guys get to this, the first game was a bit of a stalemate. It was. A massive battle in the middle and a massive battle in the caves, because the way it works is there's always a backdoor way to the base. There's a big central battlefield where all the vehicles go down, and then there's like a backdoor cave kind of infantry only way where the infantry try and get through. If you can get into the enemy base, right, and chuck C4 all over the internal consoles on the buildings, it does a shitload of damage to the buildings. It's like the best way to blow them up. You can also smuggle in an ion cannon beacon for the super weapon strike, or a nuclear strike beacon, right, to nuke the buildings, which does a shitload of damage. Yeah, but when it's down on the ground, like the other team can see where it is, and they can run up to it and disarm it. Like, so you need like you have to get lucky to get it off. Although I did actually ion cannon a GDI, a Nod refinery and a barracks or something, and it looks beautiful when the ion cannon comes down. But it's expensive. It's like £1,000 to buy the beacon, and that's quite a lot of money. And if you die, you just lose it. Obviously, it's gone. So there's like a back doorway and a front doorway. And the first map I played, it was massive war of attrition. It went completely to the end of the map. It was like a half-an-hour game. Totally ridiculous. Fucking hundreds of kills. Complete insanity. GDI won just off points. They did more damage, right? It wasn't like a total victory, but that was it. Every other game after that, people were doing shady things. Like they were rushing the base as quick as possible and quickly blowing up like the Hand of Nod. Now, that doesn't sound that bad, but if you lose the Hand of Nod, which is the GDI barracks, it means the Nod barracks. Sorry, it means you can't get access to the special infantry. So it means all you've got then is like the standard trooper, the engineer, the rocket guy, and like a shotgun guy. Basically, you don't have any of the special like fucking crazy stealth Black Hand guys, or the fucking insane flamethrower murderer guys, and all this shit. And it's like, oh, so you're gimped then in infantry combat, and you've kind of lost then, unless some reason you get an insane turnaround with the vehicles. But I'd never seen that happen. Usually, whatever team suffers a building loss first just loses the game, unless it's the base defense or maybe the power station. And it was like, oh, that's cheap. There
needs to be a way to come back from that, doesn't it? Like, unless can you buy? I'm assuming you can't buy the buildings back. Like, once they're gone, they're gone.
No, you just get the war factory, you get the vehicle producing building, you get the barracks, you get the power plant, and you get a base defense, and then you get the refinery, and that's it.
Right.
Some maps have got like capturable tech buildings or Tiberium silos in the middle of the map, which obviously give you like a boost of money and whatnot. Which is pretty good to get a hold of. But it is like, if you could rush the back door of the base dead quick and manage to kill because everybody runs to the vehicles, don't they? They want to go down to the front to have a massive fight. I think Orcas seemed a bit OP as well. The Orca attack chopper was a bit like, okay, this is a bit OP. Once people got that,
I saw you shooting the shit out of one with a rocket.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get down to it, like from a completely like mechanical point of view, the vehicles are a bit slow, and they're a bit weird how they handle. Like they're a bit like too responsive, and they're kind of a bit slow. But you've got to remember, this is a free mod. You can just go and download this and play it right now, and it's got a good active 15 or 20 servers that are full on like 40 population. And I was like, what?
I mean,
it's really fun to play. Bad. Yeah, it's really fun to play though. It's not balanced, you know. Don't think like, oh god, you know, I mean, I think Nod are shafted in terms of vehicles because they get a buggy, which is the same as a Humvee, so that's equal. Then they get a light tank, which is not the same as a medium tank. It's faster, but the medium tank will kill it in close combat. Or even, it doesn't have to be close combat. It's a fucking tank. You can just shoot the other tank. Then you've got the flame tank, which is extremely short range, but does massive damage to everything. But again, it's extremely short range, so you've got to drive up to people, which is again a bit suicidal. APC for both sides, I think, is actually maybe only I think both sides get the APC. Basically, a better version of the Humvee, but people can ride inside it. Although you can get a passenger in most vehicles, but I think you can just get more people in the APC, and it's got more armor and whatever.
Does not have the giant robot that picks up other vehicles.
No, because it's Command and Conquer. It's Tiberian Dawn vehicles. True. It isn't like Tiberian Sun or anything like that. Actually, if it was Tiberian Sun and Command and Conquer 3, I think I'd just take Tiberian Sun. Would be pretty funny. The vehicles in that.
Yeah.
I think there is a mod for that as well. You know. But anyway,
Mark II.
Oh. Yeah. But then you start getting a bit ridiculous because then you go into like Mammoth Tank territory, which is like massive money, and then Nod have got the Stealth Tank, which is stealth, but it doesn't really do much damage, and when it fires, it reveals itself, and if a Mammoth Tank shoots you, well, you've got a fucking problem. So you end up in a situation where GDI appears to have the better air and the better ground vehicles. Nod maybe a slightly better infantry. It's got more like close combat infantry, like flamers and chemical guys and stuff, so they can kind of clear out the tunnel engagements quick. But
I was going to say, I feel like that's fairly accurate to the game, but what might work in an RTS not necessarily going to work in
because it's like a vehicle limit. No, I mean there's like a vehicle limit. And if you've got like 5 guys in Mammoth tanks and then 5 guys in light tanks, I'm afraid you're dead. Like the Mammoth tanks probably like Nod get artillery and GDI get the multiple launch rocket system, the MLRS.
Yeah,
and they're pretty good, but they're very lightweight. Like they can't take a lot of damage and they die. It's I don't know. It is good fun. It's just a fun game. It's not a balanced game. It's like stupid.
Does it need to be? I mean, if it seems like it's a free. I know this kind of goes against my own argument of just because something is free doesn't mean it has to be good, but I think things can still be good even if they're not like ultra balanced or ultra polished.
It's fun.
Can still be an enjoyable experience. Like,
I was playing it with people on the stream, and they were saying to me like, some people have played it for quite a bit, and they're like, yeah, it really is fun. Like, the reaction I was having was the reaction most people get when they play the game, especially if you played Renegade, where you're just like, holy shit, this is really fucking good. Like, I didn't expect it to be this good. But once you start playing it for a couple of hours, then you start to realize that the best way to play the game is to instantly run to the enemy base as fast as possible through the tunnels at the start of the game, and just suicide into the nearest building and blow it up. Yeah. And then you've probably won because you've just took a building out of their base, which is most likely their barracks or something, tends to be placed around that area. And it's like, okay, no longer is it this, let's go into the battlefield and have a crazy fight. It's like, you know, you leave your base and it would be base under attack, hand of Nod. Oh, well, it'd be barracks under attack, barracks destroyed. It's like, 5 minutes into the game, the barracks is gone. Now you can't buy half of the fucking infantry. It's like, and then you're gimped. Like with vehicles, it's a bit different because when you're weapons factory or your war factory or your airstrip gets destroyed, you can still call vehicles in, but they cost a shitload more and they get airdropped in.
Right.
And they take a long time to come. So you still get vehicles, but it's very, very slow. It's almost pointlessly slow, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. but it's free. Like, it is free, so you may as well download it and give it a go. Just Google Renegade X. Although, a bit of a pro tip: don't use the top German download link because US download link, because I think that's corrupt. All the other ones work fine though. And it's not very big. It's only about 2 gig.
Yeah.
It runs flawlessly because it's Unreal development kit. So and it works okay as an FPS game because it's Unreal. Like, hit registration and whatever seemed fine. It's just funny. I quite enjoyed it. It was stupid. It's good for a mess around on, but don't play it trying to be serious because you can't be serious in that game. No, you just can't.
I think the other thing, we played a bit of World of Warships during the week, and I've decided at this point that I like light cruisers better than heavy cruisers. I've decided,
and I've got that Fuso, but I'm getting used to the Fuso.
I'm getting used to the Cleveland now, but I still prefer the play style of the Omaha, the one that came before it.
Yes, faster.
It's faster. It's not as, frankly, it just doesn't have the same kind of firepower. I know it's got the torpedoes, but you got to be dead close, and the Omaha can get crit-adeled so damn easily. It's just untrue. So you don't really want to get close. But all the same, there's just something about. I think there's something about the vulnerability of the Cleveland that I don't like, because it turns slower and the turrets turn a lot slower. I mean, I upgraded them so they can fire more quickly, but they take so long to traverse that the batteries. They take so long to traverse that it's like I kind of want to always be facing, like, have one side facing the enemy, and it's just not as quick. And of course you lose your batteries really easily because they're so lightly armored, presumably to make up for the fact that once you've got the upgraded rate of fire, you're pretty much just a flamethrower because you can just constantly pile out HE, which is great. But it's like, it's great until someone shoots back, and then if they hit you, your front batteries, for instance, well, you've lost 2 out of your 4, and then your effectiveness just plummets. And people have said to me, like, oh well, stick with the battleships and protect them from aircraft, which is fine, and I've been trying to do that. I feel like at the moment we're still in the tier where aircraft carriers, by and large, don't give a shit about anything other than aircraft carriers until they're dead. Like, I've yet to reach. I've seen like maybe 2 games where me being near a battleship has prevented it from being bombed, because all the fighters and all the bombers get to the middle of the map, they have a massive brawl, and then whoever survives goes straight towards the enemy aircraft carrier, which then shoots down whatever's left anyway. And I'm just like, well, I've sat at the back here and literally nothing has happened. Like, I've completely wasted my time. I should have been over there. And because it takes longer to get there with the Cleveland because of low maneuverability, and it takes a while to get going. I don't know. It's okay, but I'm kind of hoping I get used to it before I get to the next tier. Like, I start to enjoy it more, because I don't know. Either that, or they can, expand the trees so there's more light and heavy choices.
Yeah, I had this issue with, like, because I had the Congo, which is a battle cruiser, so it's a smaller battleship, still in the battleship line, but it's 25-kilometer range on the guns, which is just like ridiculous. Like, you can just smash people from miles away. So, playing that ship for like 40, 50 games, it was just straight away I'd launch my scout craft, get my maximum range, and then I would fucking attack from the word go till the end of the game. Like, unless I got sunk, I'm constantly firing. Then I got to the Fuso. The Fuso's got like a 13-kilometer range, and that's it with the hull I've got. And I'm like, right, and it's really slow because this thing is a battleship and it's dead slow. It's got way more firepower, but it's relatively short range. And I'm like, okay, first game I had with it, I didn't hit anyone and I got killed. And I was like, this is really shit. But then as I started to play it a bit more, I realized what I should be doing is playing it how you play your cruiser, is going in, because it is literally a massive anti-cruiser vessel. I was shooting like Omahas and God knows what, and almost killing them with one shot. It was just like,
when I was sticking with you and you were shooting other cruisers, I actually felt sorry for them, because
it was just like, goodbye.
You leashed off a round, and then I just watched like 90% of their health just vanish, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ! If that was me, I would not be happy about that. That is horrendous.
Yeah. It was really powerful, and now I've got used to it. I think I'm going to enjoy playing it a bit more, because all you need to do is sort of get in there and brawl a bit. I can't hear what your dog's doing. Like, get in and brawl. Like, go in and like use the... People were saying, like, when I was streaming, I need to use the terrain a bit more, like sort of hug the... Because I'm really slow, and the thing that's going to get me is torpedoes, so destroyers want to take me out. But if I stay with cruisers and I sort of hide behind stuff, then just poke out and unleash broadsides and then sort of just fuck off a bit, and it's good way. What's up, son?
The dog has unleashed.
Oh no!
A smell. a serious if you don't have a dog and you've never experienced this, occasionally they are prone to polluting the airway. I think is probably the best way to put it. And she's still asleep and she hasn't noticed. Although she is starting to now move about in her sleep, so I can only assume she's smelt it and she's trying to get away. The
Oh,
horrible creature. Christ, that is rank. Oh god. But yeah, in some ways I feel like the shift in the World of Warships can be a bit harsh sometimes. Like,
well, it is. You're so used to one way of playing it. It's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, now you're at the next tier. It's totally different.
And
Go
the thing
deal with it.
is,
And you're like,
I think the thing as well is that, like, especially in the crew, I say especially in the cruise line, it seems to apply to pretty much every line. I don't know, well, maybe apart from destroyers, but I've not really got much experience with those. Is the American cruisers? It was like, this is how you play, this is how you play, this is how you play, all the way down to the Cleveland, and then it was like, don't play like that anymore. And I'm just like, what? I've spent, like, this is tier 6. I spent 5 tiers playing a certain way, and now it's just like none of that applies. Go and do this instead. And I'm just kind of like, oh god, well, what do I do with this again? I don't know. I've got no idea.
is this? Well, will it change? Like, is
Well,
that just it? That's how it is for the
thing
duration.
is, like, I'm sure I've read that they want to have, like, more kind of diversity. So, like, you've got things like heavy cruisers and light cruisers and stuff, which I guess kind of makes sense because when you look at World of Tanks, there's like quite a spread of different vehicles, and there's like the trees will kind of split into other trees and then merge back again, so you've got like different paths to progression and stuff. Whereas so far in World of Warships, it's just you start out in a cruiser and then you can either go cruiser, destroyer, or battleship, and then if you go down the battleship, you can then be a carrier. But they just go straight down, don't they? There's no there's no splitting, there's no crossovers of any kind. Whereas I'm sure in World of Tanks, in like every country's tech tree, there's points where like you can cross from one into the other in some capacity. Maybe not like all at the same point, but you know they're a bit more diverse, and I feel like there's more kind of choice between different types of tank. Whereas that doesn't seem to be in World of Warships at the moment. But then again, it is only in beta, so and they're still adding stuff in. I mean, there's an entire German tree that's going to be put into the game soon. People have already seen the turpits in games, like being used by World of Warships employees. So you know, they're obviously still adding a load of stuff in. And we've got, I mean, the Warspite is in the game, but it's the only British ship you can have. So at some point, there'll be an entire line of British ships as well. So, but yeah, I kind of hope that there's a bit more kind of diversity, because the other thing as well is, I don't know much about the history of ships, but did they really get to a point where they're just like, we're just going to scrap every kind of light cruiser? Because surely they'd still have a purpose. It just seems weird that it would just be like, and now we're just going to make it a small battleship, and that's it. I don't know, it seems a bit odd. But, I mean, they're allegedly the experts, I'm not. But it'd be kind of nice if there was a bit more.
It's funny seeing like how like different people gravitate to different things. Like, I mean, I was playing as the battleships, and until I got to the Congo, until the Congo was like upgraded, that was the time when I thought, you know what, I'm now actually quite effective, because I was okay. And it was funny when a big, massive broadside would hit somebody and rip them to pieces. Most of the time, though, you'd miss. And there is actually update notes, which they do say they're going to make battleships more accurate, because battleships are woefully inaccurate, and it is a bit devastating. I know that they've got a sheer volume of fire, so it just kind of make up for it. With the Fuso, it doesn't seem that problematic, because you're firing at such a close range. It's like you're just hitting them and absolutely wrecking them into next week, and it's like, well, there you go. I mean, the Fuso is going to be really strong against other battleships and against cruisers. Like, obviously destroyers is like, if you shoot them, it's comedy gold, but they're probably going to fuck you up. Whereas the Congo, being such a long range vessel, was more of a, you can hit everybody and you are not in the firing line at all. You're just miles away, and it's a different type of gameplay. But I don't mind it now. I've sort of adapted to it, and maybe it's just the case for you. Once you get used to it and find out how to do it, then it's all good again. Because a lot of these games do come down to actually getting a decent score. Because if you're getting like a shit score, you're just like, what am I doing? I must be doing something wrong.
I think it is a case of, it's because it's such a big departure from what I was used to. Like, I did have a couple of terrible games in the Cleveland, like really awful games, and I've never had games that bad up until that point. But then again, if you're playing what is effectively like a heavy cruiser as a light cruiser, did I say effectively? Shit. But if you're playing a heavy cruiser as though you were playing a light cruiser, then you're kind of going to be in trouble anyway, because you haven't got the maneuverability to just run off. Because that was the thing I liked about the Omaha and the Phoenix. Not the St. Louis so much, it seemed a bit sluggish to me, but the Omaha and the Phoenix, it was like you could shoot the shit out of someone, and then you could just dodge all day. Like, you could just weave all over the place, and they couldn't hit you back. And I realised it was fun for me and really irritating for the person I was actually fighting. But I liked that. It was like I wasn't doing a lot of damage to them, but I could do damage consistently from a decent range, and I know that I could get out of it without being shot back most of the time, unless they're exceptionally good at predicting where I was going to go. Whereas with the Cleveland, it's like I get into the same situation, and I'm like, yeah, I have that, and I do more damage, but then I try and dodge it, and I can't, and it's just I'm just like, oh shit, all of that's gonna hit me, and I can't avoid it. It's like things like the South Carolina. I quite enjoy coming up against those in the Omaha and the Phoenix because it couldn't shoot, like it just couldn't hit me. It was just pathetic, and I could bomb the shit out of it repeatedly, and it was a slow, painful death for it, but I could kill it. I feel like with the Cleveland, even though I do more damage, I'm at much more of a risk of taking a solid shot from it.
I've noticed. I've got to be honest, right? With the Cleveland attacking me, it's the same range. I think Cleveland is.
Yeah, it's 13
kilometers. So yeah, so when it attacks me, it's like it's just alerting me to where it is, and I'm just like, okay. And I train my turrets onto it, and when I fire, they're such an easy target to hit because they're quite big. They're almost like battleship. They're like Congo size, ain't they? So it's like it's such a high profile. I know I'm just gonna fucking
and the armor on the batteries is so like flimsy that if you hit the batteries, then you could well disarm it. Like you honestly probably. Couple of lucky shots, you could probably disarm the Cleveland. Like I don't know whether there's something built in to prevent all 4 batteries being destroyed, although I doubt it, because what would be the point of that? But there have been games where I think even on stream we've started playing, and straight away, like a battleship has got a lucky shot off, and I'm just like, oh brilliant, I'm 2 batteries down. I now have 6 guns instead of 12. Great. I mean, well, I say 6, it's 3 barrels in each gun, but it's like I only have 6 shots instead of 12 shots. Brilliant. And this is the start of the game, and it's like, what the fuck do I do now? I can't shoot anyone. Christ. Hopefully it gets better, though. It better. Because
so, other shit I've been pissing around with World of Warcraft, which I've got a... so there's a guild. They're called the Cabbage Crew. Would you believe it? It is run by a guy from the forums, just a lich. There's a post on the forums as well, if you want to check that out. And... anyone can join. It's just a well, he wants it to be a raiding guild, and I think he's going to do that because he just plays WoW anyway. But it is like more of a if you are a Unit Lost community member, you can come and join in. And it's on the server Draenor on EU. And guess what? I had characters on that server, so
I feel like I might have a character on that server. Thinking about it,
it's not a very high level character. It's only like a level 14 something or other. And I was like, right. That was the first server I ever played on. I played with a hunter. And a dwarf hunter was the first ever character I made on Warcraft, and it was with some friends.
Melee with that now, bloke.
Yeah, I know. And then I was like, "Fuck it, I couldn't be asked to play the game anymore." But I sold that account on eBay, so I had to get a different account years later. Yeah, like I've got a paladin, and I've just been faffing around, and there is kind of something simplistic, like to that sort of completely brain turned off experience where I am like such a low level, and I'm just not doing anything. I'm just listening to music, I'm running around, and I'm just mindlessly doing the quests. Yet there is an active community chat in the guild. Like, everybody's talking in the guild, and it's like, this reminds me of good times of old. Now, I don't think you have ever really experienced that, so it should be. It might be a good thing for you to turn up and come in, because everyone talks in there, and it's quite funny.
I am actually thinking about it, because I've never had the guild experience in WoW, so I'd kind of like to... it'd be interesting to try and... I guess see... Because that's the thing as well, it's like... Maybe that's why I haven't been drawn back into it, because there's, I think a big thing that we've always said is like, if your friends are still playing a game, it's easy for you to get back into that game, because it's like there are people there, and you're like, you can just say, "Hi guys, I'm going to do this. Does anyone want to come along?" And there's pretty much always someone will go, "Yeah, I'll do that." I've never had that in an MMO. I've had it in other games, but not in an MMO. So maybe actually having that kind of interaction.
Well, yeah, there were people saying things like, "Oh, on board. Does anyone need a bit of help?" Like, and it's like a level 100 so and so went to help. Somebody was like level 20 odd, and it's like that's an MMO experience there, and that's good. Honestly, I think you should, because I mean, I'm not saying it's going to go anywhere. I'm not saying I'm going to play the game for any fucking capacity or anything like that. But it's just nice that it was just like a little faff around, and even like if you're buying the sub, because I mean, I had a 60-day card which I must have bought years ago, which I just totally forgot about.
Yeah.
It's still worth it just for a punt, because it's just like,
I mean, to be honest, at the rate I measure whether something's worth it, if I paid £9 and I played it for like 5 hours or so, I'd be okay with that. That seems like standard kind of MMO for me, really. I mean,
Well, I'll be
Obviously, you
honest,
used to play
right?
a lot more, but
We're recording this on Thursday, and Thursday's my day off, yeah. And I'm really tempted to just go. Well, I say my day off from streaming. Oh, I'm just going to throw up a stream and I'm just going to play World of Warcraft. But I'm not. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take my bike out later on, and then I'm going to piss around on World of Warcraft on my own. The guild will be there, and I'll be talking to them. That'll be fine. But it will literally be just a mess around game for me, you know?
yeah. And then you get addicted, bloke, and then you.
I don't think I will. No, I never will.
It seems unlikely now.
That'll never happen to me because just because of the nature of me. I play too many different games now. It just would never happen.
My ideal thing would be when Legion comes out, like maybe once a week, doing like a PvP session. I'd be happy with that. I would pay a sub for that if it was anything like the PvP sessions of old. I'd be happy with that because that was just the two of us going around ganking people in Ultrac Valley. If I could have a similar experience, but without the bullshit of this person has just, turned up and has been playing for a million hours a day, so you're going to die to him, then I'd be...
We're in an ideal position, though, with the community that we've got and the fact that the guys do want to set up guilds and stuff, where it's if we did get to the max level in Legion, we're not going to have to play it all the time. We could just jump on and do a dungeon or something with them, and it'd be fine. Like, and that's all I really would want out of the game anyway. I would never want to become like a hardcore raider again or anything like that. I'd like to dabble in it, but not really just go mental and make it my life, because I mean I couldn't anyway. If I made it my life, I'd have no money and then I'd be out on the street.
You'd have to sell the shack into a cardboard box.
Got up in the world, Jesus Christ. I think that's pretty much it. There's some other bits and pieces I've been dicking around on, and I know you did that atrocious game. The gift gamble. We played a bit of active aggression as well, which is on the channel.
Yeah.
Command and Conquer I haven't played this week because, well, I'm dreading it, but I've got to do it. I've still got the video I've got to edit and put up on the channel actually. Yeah, that last nod mission, holy shit. But then I'll probably move on to Red Alert. But this is the thing, right? I'm changing like what I'm doing. Like I don't know whether. I think I'm just going to start streaming more. Well, not streaming more, but streaming games on the stream, then putting them on the YouTube channel, because I've been doing that recently. I know they're not getting mega views, but I don't know. Well, we'll see.
I kind of like that because I think there's... I know it sounds daft, but not many people seem to really know that much about Twitch's ability to actually replay streams. They're not that accessible. And let's face it, the player for watching VODs on Twitch is totally shit. It's just not very good. Whereas, you've got all the options that you'd normally have with a YouTube video, except it's a stream VOD. I just think it makes it more accessible to people. So, and I'm sure there's people who have watched them who otherwise wouldn't have even known they were there. So,
provided we don't do a Rooster Teeth and upload 10 in one day. Sorry, I mean 20.
They've taken those down now, and I'm just like, yeah, the damage has already been done. Like, it's a bit late for that. You lost like 100,000 subs. You've already done the damage there. They haven't even acknowledged it though. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, it's like, the best thing. Don't say anything about it.
Fucking hell.
I wonder how we could lose subs rapid.
I don't think we could. I think we're too
start uploading Call of Duty. Oh yeah, true. Even if we did start uploading Call of Duty videos and League of Legends videos and WoW videos,
I think that would be a good way to just stop us from making videos if we tried to do that. I don't think we'd lose people. I think we'd just lose the will to live.
Hey, fuck you. I'm going to play that Call of Duty when it comes out on the PC like a beast. I tell you, I'm going to stream it. I'm going to do all the fucking campaign. Then I'm going to turn up and then I'm going to wreck face in the multiplayer and proclaim I'm the king and then just leave.
Look out, Ali A. You're going to be...
I've wrecked him.
Soon to be.
Fucking console, mate. I don't play on no console.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Come at me on the PC. I've wrecked him anyway. It's Shoot Mania and he don't fucking forget it. That's right, because anybody who plays FPS games on a console are delusional.
Need to get a keyboard and mouse and stop fucking about. Stop being peasants. That has been Pubcast for this week. It's probably going to be a little bit... I'll try and make the switch between... Yeah, I've got one of them over here. Yeah, but they're not your default tool, are they, bloke? They're just...
I mean, I've got... What about an Xbox controller somewhere?
I've got the... Look, I've got one of these. I don't know if the Xbox One...
Oh, yeah.
I still don't know
so random.
Yeah, that's been Pubcast for this week. I'll try and make the transition from one audio device to the other as smooth as possible, given I had to stop recording and start again. Which is gas, because it means I've got to re-encode the whole thing, and it's like an hour and 40 minutes long. But you lot don't need to worry about that, because you're just listening to it. If you want to support the Pubcast and Hotfix, then
please do as well, guys.
By clicking the link up there and clicking the link down there.
Oh, yeah.
I might see if I can put some sort of annotation on so you can also click the top of Sty's head, because I don't know what the hell he's doing.
I'm leaning forward like I'm dejected, bloke. I'm drained.
It's like you're showing the back of your head off.
I'm debating whether I should go on on a crazy bike ride, but it's getting kind of late, and I might get. I'm just thinking what I need to do is I need a haircut, man. I need to
do the bike ride. Do it.
Guess what? Right. Usually I have this VO5 wax shit, but the shop didn't have any, so I had to get VO5 putty. You won't know because you're a slaphead bastard. Now this putty stuff is really fucking strong. Like you can look, my hair's flat now, but then you can go like this, and it's sort of just like it just goes back up. Look, it's like dead powerful, and I'm not used to this, and it's frightening me, and I want the wax stuff. And anyway, that's why it's really it's also really long and like fucking terrible, and it needs cutting. My bike ride, yeah. I need to take an inner tube with me, and I need to take my glass reinforced tire removal tools.
Need to take an inner tube.
Yeah, because the other day, stupidly, I'm like about 18 miles from home, and I realised that I just drove through like glass, and I was like, yeah. if the tire had popped, I mean, you guys know what road shoes are like, right? You've got it's like a boot, right? But then it's got a cleat on the bottom, which is like a piece of plastic. Maybe Kiri can find a picture of one, right? SPD road cleat. Just type that in, and it'll come up with whatever you want.
SPD road cleat images. Ah, yeah, there we go. Have a desktop. So it's these kind of things here.
Yeah. So you can't walk in them. Right, they clip into a bike, but you walk like a duck when you try and walk on the road with them. Right, like you're walking on your heels. You're walking on your heels, and your front of your feet are like up in the air. So if I did have a pop tire, I would have been fucking ruined because I would have been in the middle of nowhere, and I'd be like, "Holy shit, how do I get back?" So because I'm a cabbage, and I've actually got like a spare inner tube which cost me £2, and I've also got fucking the little thing which clips underneath my bike seat to put the the shit in so I can carry it, and also I've got one of these. This is what I've been messing around with. This is like one of my little GoPro clips, but I've got one which is actually on the rear of the bike now, so I can clip this GoPro on, so I can film behind in case people run me over. So there's a document of who killed me and how, so they can be sued, because I won't know anything about it. But
you should be dead.
Yeah, but at least somebody will know.
You. Can I have all your stuff? Can I have the shack? I'd have to transport it somehow.
Well, you could transport it. No, you could transport the shack. All you need to do is take the floor out, take the roof off, and then you could take that wall would go away. The wall behind would go away. The window in the door go away. You could do it, bloke. I swear down, you could do it. This thing's worth more than a mansion.
I'll have to make sure I cover the number plate if I accidentally hit you to steal the shack.
But it wouldn't matter, though, because it wouldn't matter, would it? Because if you know I've got the camera on, once you kill me, just get out and take the memory card and run off. I'm hoping it's like the shock factor. If somebody does murder me, then they'll just be like, shit, leave the scene. And then the camera's there like, I've got
Then they get done by an eyewitness because they've seen a black Astra Sport. and there's pictures of it all over my Twitter accounts. They're like, oh yeah, well, I think we know who this was.
The worst crime ever. But yes, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take my little bike out on a jaunt, Mr. Kirioth, and I'll see what happens. Hopefully I don't die. Which is always the mantra of... I still need a mountain bike. I don't know what to do.
Spend thousands. It's the only way. We're going to call it... We're calling it, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going on for hours. And I've got to edit this together now instead of just upload it, which is what I usually do. So...
Have you uploaded Hotfix?
Yeah, Hotfix is up.
Bastard.
So, yeah,
join us... Yet? Well,
it's past 5.
Oh shit, my insurgency video has just come out. What a thumbnail.
Join us on Thursday for more Hotfix, which will be out at 7 PM. I've changed it now. It goes out at 7, not 5, because it never goes out at 5 anyway, because YouTube cacks itself processing it, because it's such a massive vid of ultimate worth. And it just means that it kind of ends up being, it might come out at 5, or it might come out at like 8 o'clock. You just don't know. So it's now out at 7, which gives it plenty of time to sort itself out, and come back next Saturday for more Pubcast. If you want to support us, do. It's a Patreon. We really appreciate it.
Yes, guys, awesome.
The show is running. And, of course, if you support us between now and the next Hotfix, then you get a shout-out at the start of the next Hotfix. So, yeah, link is up there or down there. And we will see you... we'll see you anytime you watch a video. So probably tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. Toodaloo.
Actually, we'll see you even when we're dead.
Yeah, that's true.
Because when we're dead, buried and gone and in the dirt...
We're going to live forever.
Yeah, you can still watch our crazy videos.
Going to what is it? Go to Valhalla, where you'll live eternal, shiny and chrome.
You won't know because you're a bitch.
Nah, bloke, you're mediocre.
Mediocre!